I want to collaborate with you because I expect you to change the industry. And I'm putting an expectation on you. I think of the fund of funds as an investment in you, and my team as an investment in you.
Yeah, Pace, I was wondering on these funds to funds, you mentioned that it's 10% typically how much they raise on the whole fund, right? And the original fund raises the rest. Why kind of is that, and what is the range that most funds would want to accept?
Great question. Okay, so let's say that I'm a fund, which I am, and we're raising $10 million. Do you think I want to spend time with people that can only raise $25,000?
No.
That's what the average fund is going to tell you is no.
No.
The minimum I find with most fund of funds is a minimum of $1 million. Okay, that's what I find in the outside world. Our Subto fund will do it at a significantly lower dollar amount, but why? Because we have a different vision and we have a different outcome that we're planning, which is you guys need to compound and become successful in your own right so we can collaborate on a higher level. Most funds actually are bothered by fund of funds, which is why you rarely hear about it. It's a nuisance for them. Because here's what's funny. The amount of babysitting it requires, I use that in a derogatory term because that's how most funds look at a fund of funds. It's more work to help the person raising the 10% than it is for them to just raise the 100% themselves. In fact, the 90% of, let's say they raise 9 million and you raise $1 million, they put in more effort to help you raise your $1 million than they did by just raising the 9. It's crazy. So the allocation of resources and attention is really not practical for a typical fund. And so unless you're coming to the table and going, I'll raise $1 million and you don't really have to help me, most funds are gonna go, it's not worth our time. We'll just raise it all ourselves. And we're not gonna pay you, 30 grand or 40 grand to raise that $1 million for us and part of the equity, and to have a completely different entity underneath us. It doesn't make sense practically, right? But we're different. And even Vina Jetty, when she did my first fund of funds with me, she looked at that as not, the $1 million doesn't impact me at all. In fact, it's kind of annoying. But because you are somebody who's changing the industry, I want to collaborate with you. I want to collaborate with you because I expect you to change the industry. And I'm putting an expectation on you. I think of the fund of funds as an investment in you, and my team as an investment in you. Is everybody going to be successful after their first fund of funds if now it's time for them to go do their own fund? No. But I'm willing to bet that 500 community members in our community go do a fund of funds with us over the next couple of years, that 250 of them will be successful in their own fund and then collaborate with me at some regard. And I am willing to put that seed in the ground, water it, to wait for it to sprout and ultimately produce fruit. And most people are not willing to do that. So again, it's why you don't really hear a lot of people talk about fund of funds. And even if somebody talked to you about fund of funds, you still have to go and find a fund who's willing to accept you. And it's not just you going, hey, let me bring $1 million to the table. What you're really saying in the beginning of a fund of funds is you're saying, hey, I hope to raise $1 million for you. I probably will fail in doing so. And I need somebody that is okay with that, expects that, has appreciation for where I'm at in my business, and will help me in spite of that. That's what you need to find. That's the hardest part about a fund of funds. Like when I went to Grant Cardone, I was gonna do my third fund of funds, and I was talking to Ryan Secco, really love him. Shout out to Ryan Secco and Grant and their whole team, amazing people. I went to Ryan Secco and I was like, hey, I wanna do a fund of funds with you. I've done 2 before. I wanna do a third one with you and collaborate with you guys. And he's like, yeah, let's do it. We'd love to do that with you. But then when we started talking about the financial requirement they would want from a fund of funds, I was like, that doesn't make sense for me anymore for what their requirement is. Their requirement was like $3 to $5 million. And at that point, I'm like, I'm taking my audience, people that trust me, and I'm having them invest $3 to $5 million in another fund. You know what? I think I'm in a position right now, I should just be doing my own fund if I could raise $3 to $5 million. Does that make sense? So there's all these individualized decisions, and I'm telling you, at some point, I will collaborate with Grant on a fund. By the way, he purposely tries to get people to hate him because he's so good at marketing. He's so smart. Like when you actually understand Grant and what he does, you'll get the high-end commercial guys like, oh, I hate Grant Cardone. It's like, you hate him because you hate him. That's it.
Exactly.
He's better than you. He's a better marketer than you. You shut off your Instagram because you're afraid of being out there with people, and you despise the person that has the courage that you lack. That is your problem with Grant. Your problem with Grant is a problem with your own self-esteem. That is 99% of people I've ever met with Grant. I will collaborate with Grant at some point, but I don't know what in capacity quite yet. But I know that a fund to funds did not make sense for me at that dollar amount. And so for you, if you go to him and go, hey, I'm gonna raise $1 million for you, but I'm gonna need some babysitting and some patience, and I probably will end up only raising 300,000 of the million at the end of the day, but I'm gonna shoot for the stars, and I need somebody to hold my hand, they're gonna be like, bro, it's not worth our time. And that doesn't make them bad people, it actually makes them smart people because they're protecting their time, their resources, et cetera, and they have investors they have to protect. But for me, I have a different vision and I'm at a different level that I'm like, I wanna bring people with me at this level. Grant's 17 levels ahead of me, you know what I'm saying? Shout out to Grant, shout out to Ryan Secco and Jared Glant, like unbelievable human beings, have been such great friends to me. Thank you guys, appreciate you.